Everyone says to avoid credit cards, but what if avoiding them is exactly why you're in debt and your score is still stuck? I've helped over 300 people fix their credit mess using smarter, future-focused tactics, and I've seen the same mistake over and over. So today, I'll show you how smart credit works in 2025 and the new rules that make old debt advice useless. Most people have no idea this shift is happening, so let's dive in. All right, we've heard the old adage before, cut up your credit cards, cut up your credit cards, cut up your credit cards. This actually was around 1990s, 2000s era where that advice was actually really big because guess what? It made sense. No credit, no debt. Well, that equals safety. They would point to things like the 2008 debacle. It leads to ruin. You don't need debt. Well, guess what? You don't need consumer debt that buries you, especially if you don't know how to pay it off. Okay, that was the old advice. And I know there were things that were happening in 2008, like bankruptcies and overspending and everything like that. But just because fire is dangerous doesn't mean we don't need fire, right? We warm ourselves by the campfire. We've actually sent people outer space with fire. So let's go ahead and look at our new strategy here. Access to OPM. Man, let me tell you something. Before we get into this, I just want to plug OPM Mastery, man. He knows how to get people business credit. A fellow by the name of Felix He. If you need anything like business credit, business loans, it's in the description below. But we remember how powerful other people's money is, okay? These are people that are trusting you with their finances, and you have the ability to grow it if you know how to use it the right way. We're talking about leveraging, right? Leveraging what, CJ? Leveraging cash flow, using our credit cards to actually build credit. And oh, by the way, taking advantage of those rewards that come our way. And this is what I mean. Here's the demonstration here for you. We have a $1,000, right? $1,000 on the MasterCard, the Visa card, whatever the credit card is, 0% interest and cash back. So just an example here, if you have a 1% cashback reward, that's $10 versus, okay, you get rewarded, folks, with the new strategy here. You get rewarded $10 if you know how to use that credit card. Over here on the old advice side, you put that $1,000 inside of a savings, inside of a checking account. You at 1% annual per year. We're being generous, okay? You're going to be making 83 cents a month versus the $10 that you have over here. We're actually going to share with you how to make even more. Listen, what advice have you been taught that now you look at it and you say, why did I follow that advice? Let's go to the next example. So before we get into our equation here and showing you the numbers, I did want to let you know with Experian Boost, you can still increase your credit score with rent. As you continue to pay those online rent and utilities and you're paying them on time, all right, month after month, listen, it can increase your credit score. Yes, it can. AI-powered budgeting, right? Tiered rewards, 2 to 5%. When you utilize that, you can actually boost your credit score. And of course, when your credit score increases, what does the interest rates tend to do? They tend to decrease so that you use your credit card even more. So this is what I'm talking about. 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 credit cards this person has, and that's actually the max that I recommend, 3 to 5, right? I think that's a wise habit to have. If all of them were each $1,000, you would be getting $50 to $100, right, in cash back rewards. Now, what can you do with that $50 to $100? You can place that $50 to $100 towards a principal on a loan. You can place it towards whatever you need to. Why? Because you get rewarded for using credit the correct way. So whether you need to spend money on lifestyle, your productive expenses, which when I say productive expenses, that means you're building a business. You can use the money in a wise fashion such as that. So $5,000 altogether, $1,000 each card. Remember, you are numbering your cards. You're naming your card and you're saying this card is for lifestyle. This card is for necessities. This card is for, that's what I mean. And remember, when you're using the credit, this is very vital, you can get rewarded for doing so. Let's go to the next one. So before we continue on here, I wanted you to just copy this down because this is the strategic credit formula for 2025. We've got to get away from traditional banking because as people are now finding out, the current banking schedule for your debt payments, for your credit card payments is actually made to bury you. But this is made to increase your cash flow and to get into assets, okay? So you can pay your expenses with your assets. All right, so 2025, we're using credit power, and that credit power equals automation. Remember, we talked about automation before. Multiply by low utilization, okay? Multiply by strategic spend. Then what you're going to do is you're going to add the debt weapon leverage, okay? So you got to pick which card or which line of credit or even which checking account you're going to use as your debt weapon leverage. That's the key. So keep these in mind. We're going to go ahead and continue on with a numerical example. You know we love math. Let's dive in. And folks, if you need your own debt elimination roadmap, we're actually giving that away to our subscribers to our newsletter, which is free, okay? It's free, folks, all right? You've already paid by subscribing to the free newsletter. Now look, Smart Credit Formula 2025, we went over that. This is how it looks. We want to make sure that we are utilizing less than 10%. So $10,000, right? Less than 10% would be what? $1,000 maximum monthly, okay? That's why we want to do it. Now, if you go above that, and remember, 30% is where that ding goes off with the credit bureau. So, you know, you definitely have some flexibility there. We suggest, if you can, 10% or less on that, okay? Auto pay on due date. What is that going to do? Well, it's going to equal 0% interest, no matter what the interest is. If you auto pay on that due date, listen, there is no interest paying it fully, right? 100% on-time payments. This is not only going to increase your credit score, but it's going to most likely make you a victim of a credit line increase, okay? Now, strategic spending. Do you remember we were talking about that? $500 a month in groceries. Let's say you do that. You put that on the credit card. You have that $5 back that you get, all right? Remember that 1%, and some are even more than 1%. But you get rewarded for using credit wisely. And of course, I just want this small example to go a long way with you. $5,000 line of credit, if you just chunked it one time, right? You don't want to pay it off in 7 years. You don't want to pay it off in 5 years like many of our clients are doing, but you want to pay it off, you know, in 30 years. And you just chunked one payment of $5,000 from your line of credit. Guess what? You just saved $23,304 in 30 seconds by the time it took you to write checks. Do people write checks anymore? Go ahead and write me if you write a check anymore. Man, that's wild. And so what are you doing to get rid of your debt? Go ahead and place it down there in the comments. We do appreciate them. We read them. I just want you to know that we are still not done yet. We gave you the Smart Credit Formula for 2025, but I do want to still warn you some things that you shouldn't be doing. Let's do this. So this is actually what to do, what to stop immediately, all right? What we want to do is make sure that we are not closing out old accounts. And we actually have a formula over here that we've written out. We kind of did some math to let you know where we're coming from. So let's say you opened a card back in 2010. That's a 15-year-old account. Okay, and you actually have other accounts. You have one at 20, 15, of course, 10, and then 5. If you close that account, okay, you close that account, that 15-year-old account, you know what you're going to do to your average account age? Oh man, you're going to subtract it. And remember, the lenders or the credit bureaus, they love to see, right? Credit cards love to see history. And so when you subtract that history by 15, guess what else is going to be subtracted? Your credit score is going to go way down. We don't want you to do that. All right. Total avoidance of credit. Okay, man, how you going to get a house, right? Well, I'm going to pay full for it. All right. All right. Hey, listen. No judgment from me, not being critical at all. I do want you to make sure that you can pay for all of it. And man, that's a lot of money to be tied up, okay? However, if we have no velocity banking tools, how are we going to get out of the debt, right? And also, by the way, how are we going to pay off all of these cards, all of the loans that we could have paid off if we avoid that debt altogether, all right? Now, what do lenders like to see? They like to see a history. And if you have $0 history of any credit, that's going to work against you instead of for you. And I want money to work for you, all right? Now, this is the one I wanted to touch on here because a lot of people think they need perfect credit scores. But the fact of the matter is, those that have, especially those that know about velocity banking, a 750 credit score, fare better with someone who has an 850 credit score and they don't know how to use lines of credit, okay? They can get those with a 750, those with a 680, even 600, 500, they're getting their loans paid off much faster because they have lines of credit instead of those that have no lines of credit. Does that make sense? So it's not about your perfect credit score. It's about what you're doing with credit. Now, I'm in no way, shape, or form trying to disparage those that have that perfect credit score. Man, you can use velocity banking even more. And so I just wanted to let you guys know, man, chasing that perfect credit score, it's not what it's all cracked up to be, all right? So don't get discouraged, right? If your credit score is less than stellar, you don't need that to pay your car off in 15 months, a 6-year loan, all right? You don't need that to pay your mortgage off in 7 years, okay? Instead of the 30 or the 40 years. You don't need it. All you need is to know how to use smart credit the right way. If this opened your eyes to how credit really works in 2025, I want you to hit that like button. It helps more people break free from outdated debt advice. And if you're ready to take the next step, check out my next video where I break down exactly how to eliminate toxic debt without wrecking your score. It's a game changer.